The midlife years have some interesting turns in the road. Welcome to Take the Turn with Maryanna and Jay.
This is our podcast where we share our honest conversations about marriage, family, faith, midlife, and the excitement about what lies ahead.
Welcome to Take the Turn with Maryanna and Jay.
And today's episode is number 6. This is titled Marriage in Our Midlife Years. Are we still connected?
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about marriage in this phase of life. We're in our 50s. We've been married for almost 28 years.
Yep.
Woo.
Long time.
Yep. And it's different. It's different than when we were in our 20s.
Definitely.
So we're going to be talking about that and talking about what we can do to make sure that we are staying connected in this phase of marriage.
And every marriage looks different. There's people that have been married for decades, and there's those that are starting over, some that have been divorced, and some that are maybe struggling in their marriages. And so we just want to have an honest conversation about what marriage in this season of life looks like. And so we're going to talk to each other, ask each other questions about, what we can do to stay connected.
Yeah, we did some research and we found out that the divorce rate amongst people 50 and older has risen significantly since like 1990, which was a little alarming to us. Not in a, oh gosh, we're fearful way, but let's figure out what's going on so that we can just take the steps to make those connections better in this phase.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do, is be intentional about our relationship. So that's what we're going to talk about.
So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, our marriage in our 20s compared to what they are now in our 50s was completely different. I mean, with anybody, it's different. Things were exciting and new, and I felt like we were just always on this adventure, and it was just, we didn't have a lot of, not that kids were baggage, but we just didn't have a lot of stuff with us. We could just go and do whatever we wanted to do, and it was just exciting.
Yeah. I mean, that's typical for newlyweds. When you start off, everything is new.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a new adventure. Everything is exciting because you're navigating through life together on this new course, and you don't know where you're headed really in the beginning. And so it's fun at that point. And
you still have a little bit of that puppy love. Of course, you love each other, but that puppy love is still there,
right?
And that makes it a little more fun.
But you don't have the depth yet,
right?
Everything is still just brand new. Mm-hmm. So
you haven't been through the things that now that we've gone through that really bring you closer together,
right. And granted, every marriage is different. I mean, there are people that have been together for a long period of time before they get married, and they have some depth there. But in our case, we're talking about the difference between what marriage looks like in our 20s versus after years of building a family and going through ups and downs and struggles, and how your relationship can change and how you can start to kind of drift apart, and you forget about what brought you together in the first place.
Right. You got so many other responsibilities, and you're not just tending to, when we were in our 20s, just us. You're tending to just so many other new things that come into your life during that, next phase of family phase that you just, I mean, I can see where you just kind of start to drift a little bit and not connect as much.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of why that drift can happen. What can cause that drift to happen over the years as you build a family and you settle into day-to-day, things that you get used to doing. How does your connection fade?
Yeah. I mean, again, you're responsible for so many things, and your day is just busy. Like your whole day is busy. So you get in that new routine of taking care of everybody else. And because, we're adults, we don't have to really take care of each other. So I think that's where it gets lost a little bit, because we are so busy, with our hands on other things, that we tend to just kind of lose each other.
Forget to check in with the other person.
Yeah.
You forget to date the other person still. I mean, I think.
And I don't think it's like this mean, intentional, ignoring you thing. Of course it's not, but I think it's just a natural occurrence because you're doing so much other stuff, and it's almost like you get each other. You understand why you're not
Hmm.
connecting because you're just almost on not and I hate to say this, but you're almost on a survival mode when you're raising a family and doing all that. And that's maybe where a lot of it comes from too, is you're just kind of just making things happen, getting through the day.
Yeah, you get on autopilot.
Mhm.
One of my favorite books I've read is Atomic Habits.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
that's a good book.
yeah, and I really, I mean, and I'm a very much a creature of habit, and
No.
as you are well aware, I can do the same thing over and over and over again forever, really. But I think that can be a positive, but it can also be a negative, is that, you get into this routine of doing things over and over and over, and then you kind of lose a lot of the fun, and you forget to check in with your spouse, and like, you're not wanting to do the same routine that I do every single day.
I'm
So
laughing because I'm sitting here listening to you, and you probably saw me just smiling because yes, you are so routine and you are okay with that. And me, I like routine because I do like consistency.
Mhm.
I like knowing. But at the same time, I am like let's do something just fun and be spontaneous and stuff like that. And I'm cracking up because that's probably lot of times where we do have some arguments or some
Yeah.
miscommunication, is because you are very content just with
Well, I think that you can find comfort in the predictability of life,
sure.
you know?
Right. And I
And
get
but
that.
I also get the idea that that's boring a
And I
lot of
think
times
contentment
too.
is a good thing, but
Yeah.
boring is not.
Right. So what we don't want to happen, and what can easily happen over the years, is we become like logistics partners.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, did you take out the trash? Yeah, it's Wednesday. I took out the trash. Did you get the kids to take the kids to school? Pick the kids up, and now we do that for so many years that we
Hmm.
become logistics partners. And now
And we
as
just get
we're
used to that.
right.
It just becomes our life.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of what I was saying earlier, is we're not being intentionally trying to ignore each other or trying not to, hang out, but it's just it comes so robotic that it just becomes.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I think we have to now really be intentional about avoiding, because life is changing, and now we don't have all those same logistics to take care of.
Mhm.
So now it's like we have time to reconnect,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think
So,
of it I think of it as in 3 stages thus far.
okay.
Um, we start together. And
Hmm.
then as things happen, as we start a family, as we start careers, all that, it kind of widens, that space between us.
Hmm.
And then now, okay, kids are getting older. One got married, college, and then we've got one in high school, and then our space starts to narrow again.
Yeah.
And so we're coming back together. And so this is kind of that take the turn moment where we're trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to take this turn, and what are we going to do as our lives are getting closer back together, and how can we make that, because we can't make it how it was in our 20s.
Right.
There's just no way. I mean, that was just there's again too much depth now. There's everything's different.
Hmm.
So we've got to figure out this new way to be close like we were in our 20s, but do it in our 50s and 60s and 70s. And
Yeah. So that's the point that we want to recognize, is how can we avoid that drift from happening? How can we notice it sooner,
mm-hmm.
and how can other couples that maybe are listening to this notice it sooner, so that you don't, you get all that fluff in between, you get all that busyness and work and kids and house and bills in
Mm-hmm.
between the two of you, and you forget to check in, and you forget to date your spouse again, and you forget to ask how they're doing, and what's stressing you out, what's bothering you. And and I think it's a funny story, not really funny, but it's funny for this example, I guess.
Gosh, what are you about to say? I mean, I have
Well,
no idea.
well, this morning, was it this morning or yesterday morning? You woke up and came down, and I was
Now I know
working.
what you're about to say.
So I was working on the computer, and I get up earlier in the morning, and then you came
Crack of
down,
dawn.
and I could tell it bothered you when you walked in that I didn't immediately say good morning, how are you, ask you how you are, and
And that sounds like I'm being very critical, but we have, because of this podcast, we have been practicing more
yeah.
and trying to be more intentional. So, okay, go
Well, I
ahead.
will say that because of the podcast, I probably recognized it sooner than I would have otherwise. But I recognized right away that I didn't, say good morning to you. I was busy in what I was working on and trying to get something done early this morning. And but that's the kind of stuff, like if we do that every single day, that becomes a habit,
Hmm.
then you're creating this gap between the two of us that is hard to over time that builds up. It's hard to reconnect.
Yeah, and you get used to
You
it.
get calloused.
Yeah,
Your relationship gets calloused.
right, right. And then I think that's when you just, I mean, bitterness sets in, and even though you're callous, you're still just kind of bitter and a little bit mad about it. So I don't want to do that. Let's not.
Okay. So let's talk about Dr. Gottman.
Oh yeah,
They've done a lot of research, but I'm sure
Doctors
people.
Julie and John Gottman. If you took any psychology classes, you probably have heard that name, or they've got a book. I can't remember the name of the book, but we'll put it on there. But yeah, they've been around forever, forever.
And they talk about friendship and how the friendship is what really matters in a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so and when we started off, and even now, I still think of you as my best friend, and I think that that's how a marriage, the foundation of the marriage, really should be about the friendship,
Yeah.
because you can be you can take care of the kids together, you can go through life and get busy and do all this stuff, this and that, but ultimately you need to enjoy being around each other, and the only way to enjoy being around each other is to stay connected and to find out, what are you thinking about, what are you dreaming about, what are you stressed about, what are those type of questions. And that's what the Dr. Gottman's research and studies have all shown. Asking those type of questions to your
Yeah.
spouse is what's really important.
And your new dreams and your new thoughts and all that are different, way different now. So it's that is a form of reconnecting, is just to find that out again. And as cheesy as it sounds, I'm not gonna be like, hey honey, what is your dream today? But just having more of those type of conversations. And one of the Gottmans, I can't remember which one of the doctors I heard say, it might seem kind of, again, cheesy or robotic at first, but once you start doing that habitually, um, then it becomes just kind of just normal conversation. And it doesn't seem
Mhm.
so forced or, just weird at
Right.
first. But you were talking about friendship. I agree. You have to have a successful marriage, you do have to be friends. It doesn't mean you're going to get along all the time, just like with any friendship. But a marriage is your longest relationship with someone. If you're married all your life,
Mhm.
so friendship, that's got to be deep. And I think we were friends when we first got married, but I think going through again the things that we've experienced in the last almost 30 years deepens that friendship too.
Yeah.
So I think acknowledging that and thinking just in your heart, okay, what have we been through? Like, what have we gotten through? And it was painful, or it was hard, but we did it. And those kind of thoughts, I think, grow your heart,
Mhm.
and help you get back, like I was saying, get back into, narrowing that space between each other.
Yeah. And they talk about being curious about the other. And it kind of reminds me of Ted Lasso.
Oh
It's
yeah,
about be
when he's doing the
curious.
dart
Yeah.
thing. Oh, that's the best
That's a
scene.
great
If you
scene.
have not seen that scene, go after this podcast and look up
The Ted
Ted
Lasso, the
Lasso
dart
dart
scene.
scene.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, that's good. Be curious, ask questions. And that's a lot of what they were talking about is when's the last time I asked you something that I really didn't know about you, that I learned something about you. And I don't right now I couldn't answer that
That's
question
a crazy
honestly. Like
thought.
I
Like,
don't know that I don't know what I could ask you that I don't already know the answer to.
I think we should think of it and ask each other tomorrow.
Okay.
Something that I don't know what it is, but we'll just have to think about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, so but that gets hard to do as you are with somebody for a long time. Like, how can you, carry new conversations
Hmm.
forward, and find out more about them. I mean, yes, stuff happens throughout the day, but it's like deeper stuff, not just like what happened today, but more about, what are you dreaming about? Where do we want to
Hmm.
go? Want to take a trip?
Right. Yeah.
I know you like trips.
I do. I do like trips. That's that spontaneity that I love too.
Yep.
So I was thinking about that when we were talking about spontaneous. So, you know, again, you like routine, you're just kind of, content with just day-to-day stuff, which I admire contentment. I do. I wish I was more content with stuff, but I sometimes, like, I have talked to you on the phone before and you've been like, "Hey, what time are you coming home?" And for a split second, sometimes in those situations, I think, I wonder is he going to surprise me with something? Am I going to come home and there'll be like, rose petals down the driveway or trumpets playing and he's going
Trumpets. I need to get trumpets.
to like,
Like guys with trumpets lining the driveway. I'll
and
work
then
on that.
you'll be like,
I'll
guess
work on that
what?
one.
We're going on a 1 month European vacation, or guess what? Australia, or, but
Yep.
I don't, but
That's crossed my mind, but I'll have to
I'm
work
living
on
in
that
the
one.
dream world sometimes. But it's
Yeah.
going to happen. I can feel it in my bones. It's going to happen one day, and there
I'm
will be trumpets.
I'm gonna work on the trumpet thing.
God.
So,
Oh, goodness.
um, the key obviously is communication and carrying on that communication over the years of
Wait,
our
can you
relationship.
repeat that first sentence again, please?
The
Please.
key is communication.
That's what I thought.
Yes. And stereotypically, I guess guys are worse at it than women. But it's not all about only about what you say. It's
Mhm.
also about how you say it
Their
too.
tone.
The tone, the
Yes.
timing sometimes, like,
Hmm.
sometimes communicating, for arguing. And the Gottmans talk a lot about, arguing, how to
Yeah,
argue,
and
and
it's not a bad thing. I mean,
right.
okay, what couple doesn't argue?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's going to argue at some point.
Everybody argues.
And I remember when we were first married, we hardly ever argued, and
Right.
we kind of
We
prided
didn't have
ourselves on
much,
like
we
we
didn't have
knew.
much to argue
Yeah,
about.
we didn't have anything to argue about. We didn't. I mean, life was, it was
Yeah.
new and exciting, and I mean, there was nothing to argue about.
Yeah.
So we didn't argue a lot early on, and as we were married longer and longer, we argued more. But every couple is going to argue at times.
Mhm.
If you agreed on everything, that would be boring.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I think it's good that we have differences, but we have to figure out, where those differences are major and need to be reconciled. And, if one of us wrongs the other one, offends the other one somehow or another, those are arguments that, somebody needs to apologize.
And I think in our age, it is our responsibility as, middle age and beyond people to say, you know what, it's time to be a little more mature and figure out these arguments and figure out how to better manage them.
It's more about coming to a reconciliation.
Yeah, I saw something yesterday and it was an experiment and there was a ball on the table and they had one person on one side and one person on the other side. And they asked the guy on the right side, what color is the ball? And he said red. And the other one said, they asked the other one, what color is the ball? He said white or whatever the colors were. And the guy was like, oh my gosh, it is a red ball. And oh my gosh, it's a white, red, white. Well, then they switched places. Well, half of it was red and half of it was white.
Mm-hmm.
So, they wanted to say each other was right or themselves were right, but they weren't thinking about the other perspective. And again, that's where I think we need to come to the maturity level now. And I'm preaching to the choir. Believe us, we are learning as we go. But just to say, okay, let's be mature. He is thinking differently. He's not being mean. He's not trying to fight. He just sees it different than I do. And just recognizing that before it gets to be too personal, and too offensive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. And so the Gottmans talk about they call it the Four Horsemen.
Yes.
And and if you took psychology classes, you've probably heard this before, but it's it's negative communication patterns that we are all can be guilty of.
Mm-hmm.
And here are the four ones. I had to make sure I noted it down, but criticism is one,
Mm-hmm.
where you're attacking the character instead of addressing like the behavior, what it was that you actually, were offended by or whatever. To use criticism.
That's right. I forgot all these.
Contempt is maybe disrespect or sarcasm or mockery. And instead of, again, addressing the issue, you're using the disrespect or sarcasm to address it.
Okay.
There's defensiveness.
Okay.
Making excuses or not taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth one is stonewalling, where you just shut down or withdraw. And so if we recognize that those are kind of the four horsemen of breakdowns in communication between partners, then maybe we can recognize what we might be doing.
Sure.
I can tell you what I do.
Okay.
I can do that. Stonewalling is definitely mine, where I will avoid. If you want an answer from me about something and then I'm just not ready to give you an answer, stonewalling is one of those things that I can do. Yeah. You agree?
I agree with you. Aren't you glad that I agree with you?
Yes. See,
I'm not going to fight with you about that one.
But anyway, so I think the important thing is recognizing those characteristics and making sure that you communicate in a way that you're not, slipping into one of those negative patterns, and that you're, addressing the issue with each other and communicating properly.
And why do you think, like, when couples or when we fight, why do you think it drags on? Like, why is it so hard to close the fight sometimes? Sometimes it's not so hard, but why are some fights you just, it's almost like you don't want it to end because.
Yeah. So I think pride, maybe it's kind of reverting back to you want to win. And for me, it's not so much that I want to win, but the reason you're arguing in the first place is you have two different perspectives. I think one way and you're thinking another, and I'm trying to convince you why my perspective is right. And so I guess in a way I'm trying to win the argument. But I think when it comes down to it is we kind of need to sit back and take a step back and think about, what's the goal
what side
here?
of the ball we're looking at.
Yeah, that. And what's the ultimate goal? It's to, connect in a way that, we're getting stronger as a couple, or we're getting, I don't know if the argument has to do with our kids or whatever.
And I think that's where what we're talking about maturity comes into play, is in those moments where I want to win and I want to prove my point and I want to leave the argument with the point, with the, like, I got that point, instead of doing that, just that's where stop before it gets too far and recognize, do we really want this? Do we want this big fight in our relationship right now? Is this going to take us anywhere? Is this going to make us more connected? No. What can we do to resolve this faster and not go into that next, phase of fighting where you're just mad and you don't talk to each other the rest of the day or whatever. So, I
How can we
mean,
repair it?
yeah, and it's so easy to say that because when you're in the moment, you just want to win.
Hmm.
But it would just be so nice to get to the point in a mature relationship to settle it before it gets to that turning point. And I would think and guess that's what um, the doctors Gottman are talking about how fighting can be beneficial. It can deepen your
Right.
relationship. It can strengthen it.
Yeah, they do. And when they talk about, what can get you to that reconciliation, and there's certain ways that you can repair your relationship and strengthen your relationship by, through those resolutions, which would be, apologizing, saying I'm sorry,
Hmm.
or maybe it's that came out wrong, or, I didn't mean to say it like that, or some other ones that they shared were, you know, can we start over?
Hmm.
I don't want to turn this into a fight. Those are all things. But again, tone is everything
Yeah,
too.
that that could go either way. Like if
Yeah,
you said, I don't want to turn this into a fight. Like that would be accusing me of wanting to fight. But if
right.
you said, I don't want to turn this into a fight, my love, then I'd be
You
like,
were right. I was
oh,
wrong. Isn't
yeah,
that really all I have
whatever
to
you
say?
said was right. But
Yeah,
yeah, the tone has everything to do with it.
but these are all reasons why relationships over the years can drift apart.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of the whole idea of this episode is, how can we stay connected? It's by not building those calluses in in arguments that happen. They're inevitably going to happen,
Yeah.
day in and day out. And if we continue to argue and fight in a way that, we're being negative in how we want to resolve it,
Hmm.
now we're kind of building calluses in the relationship, and that can cause drift.
And
And
we program ourselves to react that way. I mean, if we do it long enough, that's just how you're going to react. And that's going back to what they were saying. If you practice these other techniques, eventually that's going to be your programmed way to deal with conflict and deal with
mhm.
fighting and all that. Real quick, while we were talking, I thought about it, and I don't want to go too far on this, but what about the couples? And I know this is a thing, and it makes me sad. But what about the couples who are at this point and they don't really like each other and there's not really that friendship there? Like
Mhm.
what, and we're not psychologists, so do not take we're just talking. But what do you think, just in our little puny opinions, what do you do like if you don't like each other? I know that's going on, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
do you
there's
think
a
just practicing this can just get you there?
well, I think you got together in the beginning for a reason. There was something
True.
that you loved about each other to get married.
Mhm.
And so what was it that connected you to begin with? And why did you drift apart? And the drift can happen because of all these things that we were talking about.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think some marriages and relationships, they're going to take a lot more work to repair,
Mhm.
if you've kind of really built up some resentment over the years.
Right.
But there was something there that attracted you in the
Mhm.
beginning, so you got to go back to what that was. And I think doing these, and the Gottmans talked about this too, is these daily little habits, just starting with little things like, how are you? And that's cheesy, and that maybe is not exactly the example,
Right.
but
But
starting with something small.
something that shows the other person that you were thinking about them
Right.
or caring about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And go ahead.
And some other, like, in creating little habits that will build connection, like, well, obviously us preparing for these podcasts now are a way that we've been able to
Oh, yeah.
reconnect.
That was one of our
Um,
reasons for doing this.
Right. And we've also started taking, now that we have more time because the kids are gone and are leaving the house, and their youngest has gotten a lot older. We have more time. So we've
Mhm.
started taking walks at the end of the day, which has been a great way to
That's a great
reconnect.
one.
Yeah.
Like, add that. If you're not doing that as a couple, go on walks.
Yeah.
Like, before or after dinner, just your blood flows, you're talking more. I think that's a
hmm
great thing
I
to
mean, you're
do.
pretty much trapped there with the person for an hour,
Unless you get in a
walking.
fight on the
So
walk, that would kind
yeah,
of
don't do
stink.
that.
Yeah.
Then it's a long walk. But I think having shared interests, finding something that you like to do together, whether it's playing tennis or playing
Mhm.
cards or cooking. There were times when remember we did Hello Fresh for a period
Oh,
of time,
yeah.
and so we'd sit there and
That
cook
was fun.
together.
Like,
That
in the
was fun.
kitchen.
Yeah.
That's a fun time too. Put
I
on some
mean,
music.
yeah. And maybe we should get back to that
We
now
do
that
need to
we
do
don't have to
that.
cook as big of meals.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
good way to connect.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, we have to, include our prayer life. I mean, prayer
hmm
and faith in our relationship has gotten us through a lot.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
lot.
Praying together is a great way to connect. And
Absolutely.
that can be hard to do at times, but I think, even just starting small,
Yeah.
but eventually kind of growing in that time together is a great way
That's another
to
level
connect.
of depthness in a relationship for sure.
So, yeah, I think connections don't usually just disappear all at once. They kind of, drift apart through years and years of marriage.
And
Um,
that's sneaky.
Yeah, and it will sneak up on you, and then, couple of weeks kind of turn into months, and you kind of look back all of a sudden and realize, like, we haven't been connected in quite a while now.
Mhm.
So
Like,
that's
I
where
want to die one day like those sweet couples that are just so in love.
sitting on the
It's
bench
so
together,
cute.
feeding the pigeons.
No, they're just so cute. They'll show them, on these videos. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like 99 years old together, and they're so
I don't
precious.
know if I'm gonna make it to 99.
Yeah.
Maybe. But anyway, so I think we just need to remember those small things. Depending on where you are in your marriage and in your relationship, just remembering, to do those small things, create the little habits that kind of turn into bigger habits. Then all of a sudden you're reconnected, laugh together.
Oh,
We've had some good
see,
laugh
that is
times.
something I want to do more of.
hmm
We used to laugh all the time. Like, I think of some of the things just in our past.
Because we were stupid.
Well, I know, but we also had more time to laugh.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it is.
hmm
It's not that I'm not funny. It's it's that we just don't have time.
But I
Like,
think
I want to bring that back.
Well, I think when we have grandkids, that'll be a time where we'll get to be silly and, funny all
No,
over
let's do it
again. And I
now.
mean, we can do it now too,
Okay.
but yeah, so keeping that connection, that's our goal for this episode was, just talk about how we can stay connected and not drift apart, but drift together.
If you're with your spouse, just use this time to talk a little bit about it
Yeah.
and ask each other some questions.
Right. Okay.
Get the ball rolling.
All right. Well, let's get to our top 10.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do our top 10. And this week's is the top 10 Generation X sayings that you would typically hear, but with a twist. We're going to say half, and the other person has to say the other half.
Finish
Has
it.
to
Okay.
finish it.
Got it. We have no idea what each other are going to say.
Okay. You go first.
Okay. I've got a lot.
We're only
just gonna
doing 10.
pick
You
'em.
get 5 and I
know
get
it.
5.
Okay. Whatever it is, I think I see.
Becomes a Tootsie Roll to me.
How did you know that?
Oh my gosh. Well,
No, but you don't remember anything back in the day. Okay, go.
all right. All right. Be kind.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
That's right.
Oh
Okay.
man, Blockbuster. Okay. Oh, you're not gonna get this one. You'll know it, but you won't be able to say it.
Okay.
2 off beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
What?
Burger King, right? Is that right?
No, it's Big Mac, McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
How did you I knew it, but I couldn't remember what order.
I got it.
Jay Thornton. Oh my gosh, I'm impressed.
I've had 7 concussions. I can still remember that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Golly. Okay.
All right, I've got one. I've fallen.
And I can't get up. That's an easy one.
What was that?
That
Something
lady.
alert?
I mean, there was a lot of commercials back then with elderly people, like the "Where's the beef?" and the "I've fallen and I can't
Hey,
get
don't
up."
take any of mine.
Oh shoot. Okay, here's another one. I don't think you'll get this one.
Okay.
My buddy, my buddy.
Oh. Oh.
Dun 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 dun.
It's familiar, but I don't remember it. What is it?
Wherever he goes, I go.
would've
My
never gotten
buddy,
that.
my buddy and me.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I wouldn't have gotten it.
Okay.
All right. Conjunction junction.
What's your function? I used to
That
love
was too easy. I knew
Schoolhouse
that
Rock.
would be too easy.
That was off of.
All right.
All right. Strong enough for a man.
But made for a woman.
Jay.
Sure, right? Or
Secret.
Secret. Okay. That's close.
I mean, I'm very shocked. Lots of
I'm glad I can
concussions,
impress
y'all.
you still.
Lots
See,
of
these are things you
concussions.
didn't know about me.
Oh my gosh.
Going back to the
I don't
episode.
even know who you are.
All right. Well, you said one of mine, so I'm gonna skip that one.
Okay.
Where's
the beef?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's too easy. I'm gonna say this one, and I'm not gonna say it in the tone I would normally say it and see if it's a little harder.
okay.
I want my
Baby back, baby back.
no. Well, I mean, is that right? I'm thinking of a different one. Now, if I say,
Oh.
I want my
MTV.
yeah, that was terrible.
Oh
Yes.
gosh. Memories. Do I have one more?
Yeah.
I want you to mess up. Okay. Tastes great.
Less filling. Was that Miller Lite? Or is that what it was? Yeah. All right, I got one more. Last
I can't
one.
believe you're getting these.
Oh, that's too easy.
Give me a hard one.
Pardon me.
Do you have any Grey Poupon? Right?
Yes, that's right.
Nailed it.
All right, that was fun. So thanks for tuning in this episode. Check us out at taketheturnshow.com and follow us on social media at Take the Turn Show.